Living organisms require energy for carrying out their life processes, and this energy is procured by metabolization of nutrient substances inside their cells. So not only for the release of energy, but for building up the various body constituents also, the nutrients are required. So the nutrients or the constituents of food are subserving two functions, that is providing energy and as well as for building the cellular constituents. And the nutrients can be therefore divided into two categories, that is the energy suppliers and the body builders. So apart from them, there are also which act as growth promoters and regulators. Example, the minerals. The minerals like various minerals are used for making up various constituents of the body, like iron used for synthesis of hemoglobin, and there are many minerals which which act as cofactors which take place during enzymatic processes. And so also are the vitamins. They are also very important growth regulators, and the deficiency of vitamins in our body can lead to deficiency disorders which will impair our body functions. And the main nutrients which are present in food are the proteins, carbohydrates and the lipids, and they are considered to be the proximate principles of food, or they can be called as the macronutrients because we require them in large amounts. And the vitamins and minerals are required in small amounts, and they can be called as the micronutrients. So these are the various types of nutrients which we procure through food. The processes involved in nutrition are ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation and egestion. Ingestion is the taking in of food. Digestion is the conversion of complex substances in the food into simple substances so that they can be easily absorbed in the intestinal tract. Then absorption. Absorption is the process by which the products of food digestion are absorbed into the walls of the gastrointestinal tract, and thereby it is taken up by the blood. It is taken into the circulatory system, and the circulatory system will take it to the various body cells. And inside the body cells, these will be either metabolized for the release of energy or will be used for the building up various constituents of the cell, and it is being used up inside the cell. That is what is called as assimilation. And those substances which have not been absorbed in the gastrointestinal tract, they remain as waste. So they will be egested out of the body as feces through the anus, and this process is called as egestion. In detail, we have to study about the digestive processes which are involved in the breaking down of carbohydrates, proteins, fats and other nutrients. So digestion is the breaking down of complex, unabsorbable, unassimilable, unmetabolizable organic macromolecules of the food into simple, absorbable, assimilable, metabolizable micromolecules. Before going to the processes involved in digestion, we will just get acquainted to the various parts of the human alimentary canal. It starts with the mouth, which leads to the buccal cavity, that leads to the pharynx, that leads to esophagus, which then goes to the stomach. And opening to the buccal cavity are three pairs of salivary glands. And these salivary glands produce a secretion which is called as saliva, which is released to the buccal cavity. And then the food passes down the esophagus and reaches the stomach. And the walls of the stomach, the mucosa of the inner lining of the stomach contains glands which are called as gastric glands, and they secrete a juice which is called as the gastric juice, which contains certain enzymes. Now thereafter is this part, which is the first part of the small intestine, which is called as duodenum. This duodenum then leads to a less coiled part which is called as the jejunum, which then leads to a highly coiled part called as the ileum. On the walls of the mucosa of the intestine also possess certain pit-like glands, and these pit-like glands can be called as the intestinal glands or the crypts of Lieberkühn, or the intestinal crypts. So they act as glands. They produce a secretion which is called as the intestinal juice or the succus entericus. So we have saliva produced in the buccal cavity, the gastric juice produced inside the stomach, and the intestinal juice or the succus entericus, which is produced in the intestine. And all these are loaded with enzymes. Along with that, There is one more gland which is called as the pancreas, which opens to the duodenum, and this pancreas produces a secretion which is called as pancreatic juice, which is also enzyme rich. And there is one more secretion from the liver which is emptied to the duodenum, that is the bile. The bile and the pancreatic juice are emptied to the duodenum together through a duct which is called as hepatopancreatic duct. Bile doesn't contain any digestive enzyme, but the pancreatic juice is loaded with enzymes. And later we will see what is the function of bile if it doesn't contain any digestive enzyme. Now after the ileum comes the large intestine, which consists of the following parts, that is the colon, which consists of three parts: the ascending colon, the transverse colon, the descending colon, and there is an S-shaped part called as the sigmoid colon. And thereafter there is a storage chamber called as the rectum, which opens out through the anus. So these are the various parts of the alimentary canal in which the digestive function is carried out by glands called as the salivary glands, the gastric glands present in the stomach, the intestinal glands present in the intestine, the pancreas which secretes a pancreatic juice which is emptied to the duodenum, and the liver which produces bile. So digestion, already as discussed earlier, is the breakdown of complex substances in the food to simple substances, thereby making them absorbable and assimilable. And the products of digestion are absorbed by the circulatory system for assimilation and thereby oxidation inside the cells, releasing energy. And digestion is characteristic of most of the heterotrophic organisms, but the exceptions are saprotrophs, which feed on decaying organic matter. There the digestion is carried out outside the body, and also osmotrophs, who absorb already digested food in fluid form, who absorb already digested food in the fluid form through their body surface. So except these two types of heterotrophs, all the other heterotrophs can carry out digestion inside their body, that means inside the alimentary canal. So this type of digestion can be called as extracellular digestion, because digestion takes place outside the cells. It takes place in the lumen of the gastrointestinal tract. It doesn't take place inside the cell. So it is called as extracellular digestion, and the products of digestion are then taken to the cells. So remember, it is extracellular digestion. Now the mechanism of digestion is actually a breaking down process which we can call as hydrolysis, and that is catalyzed by the help of enzymes. And these enzymes can be called as digestive enzymes, and they can actually be classified into four types. Four major groups of digestive enzymes are there. First one, the carbohydrate splitting enzymes, which can be collectively called as amylolytic enzymes. Amylo means carbohydrate, lytic means breaking down. So carbohydrate splitting enzymes are amylolytic enzymes. Then the protein digesting enzymes, which are also called as proteolytic, which are otherwise called as the proteases. The lipid digesting enzymes or lipolytic enzymes, and the nucleic acid splitting enzymes. So they are named as amylases, which are carbohydrate splitting, proteases, which are protein splitting, lipases, which are lipid splitting, and nucleases, which are nucleic acid splitting. We will take a quick look on the various enzymes that are produced by the digestive glands of our alimentary canal and the secretions they produce. So first, the salivary glands, which produce saliva, and the saliva contains an enzyme, that is a salivary amylase, which acts on starch and breaks it down into maltose and dextrins, which are smaller molecules. Then the gastric glands produce gastric juice, and the enzymes present in gastric juice are pepsin, renin, and gastric lipase, of which pepsin and renin are protein digesting enzymes. This casein, it is also a protein. It is the protein present in milk. It is milk protein, and for digesting this casein, the infants are having this enzyme called as renin, that is produced by the gastric glands, but it is absent in adults. The gastric juice also contains gastric lipase, which acts on fats. So these are the three enzymes in gastric juice. Then coming to the pancreatic juice, which is produced by the pancreas, the enzymes present are pancreatic amylase, trypsin, chymotrypsin, elastase, carboxypeptidase, and aminopeptidase, of which pancreatic amylase acts on starch. All the others are protein digesting enzymes. So once again, trypsin, chymotrypsin, elastase, carboxypeptidase, and aminopeptidase. Then the intestinal glands, they produce a secretion called as the succus entericus, which consists of disaccharidases, dipeptidases, tripeptidases, intestinal lipase, intestinal esterases, DNases, RNases, nucleotidases and nucleosidases. So the disaccharidases will act on disaccharides like sucrose, lactose, maltose, etc. So that disaccharidase which acts on sucrose is called as sucrase. The disaccharidase which acts on maltose is called as maltase, and the disaccharidase which acts on lactose is called lactase. So they all come under the category disaccaridases. Then the dipeptidases act on dipeptides. So they are part of protein digestion machinery. Then the tripeptidases also break down tripeptides, which again make them part of the protein digesting machinery. Then the intestinal lipases and the esterases, they act on fats. When the lipases act on emulsified fats which contain long chain fatty acid esters, the esterases act on short chain fatty acid esters. Now coming to the enzymes that are involved in the breaking down of nucleic acids, they are the DNases and RNases which act on DNA and RNA respectively. The nucleotidases will act on the nucleotides, breaking them into nucleosides and phosphates. And these nucleosides are further acted upon by the nucleosidases, which give nitrogen bases and the pentose sugars. So the details we will discuss along with the digestion of each nutrient. So this is in nutshell the various types of secretions, the digestive secretions that are produced by the digestive glands of the body, the enzymes contained in them, and the substrates on which these enzymes act.